Okay, good afternoon, guys and gals and people around the world. Today I thought I'd talk about some of the interesting car wrecks I did when growing up, stupid kid. Anyways, let's get right into it. I already told you about my Camaro when I wrecked that one, and that was interesting. But let's talk about the time I wrecked I had a 70 Cougar, and I pulled when I got it, it had I think a 302 or maybe a 351. It was a small block. Anyways, when I pulled it, when I got the car, it was blowed up, like I said. Um, Somebody hit a rock with the oil pan. And I've already made reference to that, how hard it is to find, parts for those. Oil pans were especially hard, especially when it was a Cougar. But anyways, um, so I get it. It's blowed up. So I go through my junk, you know, and I find a 390 High Pro 4-barrel. I'm not sure what it was out of. I want to say a Torino, but anyways, so I put the 390 High Pro with the C6 automatic in it and made a driver out of it. And I think it came out of a truck because it had the special oil pan that the Cougar needed too, which was worked out. Anyways, so I get off work at the gas station, and back in the day, Grandpa could or your your guardian could give you a note. You take it to the liquor store, and you give it to them. And as for Grandpa's case, they just put it on his bill. And I added a bottle of Jack Daniels, I think is what I ordered, put on there too. And they load it in the trunk of the car for you. You don't touch it because you're underage. So, anyways, I take off from there, and I come boogieing on down the road, and out of the ditch, seemed like come out of nowhere, was a deer. It jumped out. And so I kind of swerved and missed the deer. And when I did, I dropped the front end into the ditch that the deer came out of. And like I've said before, I've had a habit of driving rather fast, And so when I dropped into that ditch, the nose caught into the dirt and flipped me end over end down the side of the road. And when I finally stopped, the car was standing on its trunk upside down with the hood leaning against trees. And now, mind you, that alcohol was in the trunk of the car. So when people started showing up, I crawled out of the car, and then the next car that came around the corner saw me, stopped, and I smelled like alcohol. Like I probably endoed that car probably 3, maybe 4 times. Anyways, I broke all the bottles of alcohol on the back of it. So, and it splashed around, and I come out smelling like a damn drunk. And cops are called, and they come, and here I am reeking like alcohol. And in the process, I had managed to get word to Grandpa that I had wrecked the Cougar, and all his alcohol was in the trunk of the Cougar when it happened. And so he jumps in the tow truck, come get the car and me. And by that time, the cops are there. And there was a highway patrol dude there. He was a really asshole. And He kept swearing up and down that I would been drinking. You're drunk, you're drunk, you're drunk. No, I ain't. No, I ain't. So that was before breathalyzers and all this other stupid stuff. So the only way I proved I wasn't drunk, I had to go down and give blood. So Grandpa took me to the hospital. I took blood. They showed I had no alcohol in me, you know. So they had to, ditch that idea of the drunk driving. I told them, look, a deer jumped out of the thing. I swerved to miss it, dropped the front end, crash, crash, crash. There's where we're at now. Well, since the hospital was just a little ways down the road, well, actually about 5 miles down the road from the wrecking yard, um, we took the car to the wrecking yard, dropped it off before going to the hospital. And the highway patrol dude was all freaked out over it. Yeah. Well, anytime we got a car that wasn't, was under, whether it was in an accident, broke down alongside the road, we had to put it in the impound yard for 90 days before it could be touched. Anyway, so while we're at the hospital getting blood, oh, Rex there, he's having a fucking heart attack about how we're tampering with evidence. And the local sheriff, who knows me and knows Grandpa, and I never drank and drove, right? As a matter of fact, that's why I drove Grandpa around a lot, so he could drink. Anyways, he kept telling a shithead there that, look, I know the people, they don't do that. They don't do that. Oh yes, they do. They're tampering evidence. Had, had the federal marshals come in and everybody else. I mean, the car's behind a locked gate, right? We're down at the hospital giving blood. Um, Anyways, we get the blood taken. We go back to the impound yard, and here's all these damn cops there. And they're all freaking out over Grandpa, over me, because we dropped the car in the impound lot that was sealed that nobody could get in but Grandpa. Because Grandpa was the only one with the key. So he lets them in. They go root hogging through the back. And we had talked, me and Grandpa, of course, and I told him, I said, yeah, I said, I picked up a bottle of Jack Daniels for me. I said, I hope that don't screw anything up. He goes, oh, no. He goes, was it on my list? I said, yeah, I put it on the list. He goes, well, then I'll just say it's for me. So we get there. They go through the trunk of the car. They find all these broken bottles. And, they were all sealed, every one of them, the tops. So that pissed a lot of people off. Not at me, but at the cop, the highway patrol, Rex. And so that brought him under the gun. And I was on his radar from then on. If he saw me in the car, he pulled me over. So this goes on for a while. But after that car wreck, I'm on my way to work. I had the truck that day, so I think I was going to the dairy or maybe the wrecking yard. But anyways, I was in my truck. I had an old 48 Dodge that when I hauled it home, the motor was shot in it, had a rod through the side. And the only combination I could find, because it was a 4-speed, because the old trucks, they didn't have automatics in them, was this old 292 out of a Ford pickup. And the pickup was crashed, but the motor ran good. And so I pulled the motor and tranny out of the pickup, and I stuck it in the old Dodge, because Dodge had a good body on it, and it ran good, brake wise and everything else. And but it wasn't a speed demon. It was one of those ones, a granny low, you get out, put the thing in low, go throw hay bales on the back. It was that kind of truck. Anyways, I'm tooling on to work, and this gal comes around the corner, and I think she was driving a newer Camaro, probably 72 or 73, and she swung the corner wide. And when she swung the corner wide, just as I was coming into it, she clipped the ass into the Dodge, ripped the rear end out, flipped me over, sent me down over the bank. Well, as it happens, old Rex there, first on the scene, and I've been drinking. You've been drinking. And the girl's really shaken up. She thought she killed me. And um, Rex didn't even want to talk to her. It was all my fault. It was automatically my fault. So he gets on the radio, starts calling it in, and of course, Grandpa, he's got his radio with him, and so he and the sheriff, um, they both come to the scene of the accident, and old Rex there's got me in handcuffs, stuffed in his highway patrol car, thinking he made his big break. Well, they Grandpa and the sheriff get there, and they just told they talked to the girl, they talked to me, and they told old Rex there, you need to pull in your horns because I don't know where you're getting this idea. There's no alcohol around, so why are you saying he was drunk? Why do you say it was his fault? That gal right there who hit him is scared to death, thinking she killed him. And long story short, we end up getting Rex's supervisor there, and of course Rex got written up for it, and that just added more fuel to the fire against me. And so we end up recovering her car because she mangled it real bad, and the Dodge. We're both off to the wrecking yard for that little incident. And the funny thing about the Camaro was, they're all subframed. Yeah. And so the gal didn't want it because it was totaled. And this is, before insurance and stuff like that. So she lets us have the car for damage done to the truck. And we get it to the wrecking yard, and I'm monkeying around with it. I pull the fender and hood and grill off, and I'm looking at the subframes tweaked. But we have other Camaros and Novas and things like that in our salvage yard, So I go looking around, and I find a 71 or 70 Camaro. I ripped the subframe out of that, and probably in a week's time, I had the Camaro that crashed into me up and going. And the gal come into the station one day, and I only put the hood, the grill, and the fender, and the subframe, of course. But I left the other fender was good, so I didn't need to replace it. So I put it back on afterwards. And she looks over, she goes, "Is that my car?" I said, "Yeah, that's your car." She goes, "You fixed it?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, she couldn't believe, in a week's time. And I told her, I said, "Well, it's a subframe car." I kind of explained. She, she had no clue what I was talking about. Anyway, long story short, I told her you could have the car back if you paid me for my time and the parts, and I haven't even put it in my name yet. So she agreed, and so she bought the car back. And it's kind of funny about that car because, gosh, it had to have been maybe a month later, something like that. And she had gone around a corner, and rocks were a big problem, right? Because the road was cut into the cliffs. And anyway, she come around the corner, and bam, there's a rock in the road. Took out the oil pan, transmission pan, big bloodbath in the middle of the road. And so she calls us up. She doesn't know what to do. And I told her, I said, "Well, we could probably find the parts to fix the car if you want it." "No, that car's going to kill me someday. I better get rid of it." "Okay, what do you want for it?" "No, just come get it for the tow bill." "Okay." So I went down, picked up the car, brought it back. And I think it had I don't know, maybe a little 350 or 302 or 307, or just a little small block in it. And so out come the motor and tranny, and I had a 396. I slapped that sucker in there and drove it to work. And every time she'd come in and see that car sitting there, because I drove it for quite a while. I drove all my cars for quite a while. Anyways, by the time she just shake her head and look at the car, and that's how I ended up with the Camaro. That later I sold. No, I traded it. I traded it for an old, I think, 32 or 33 Ford pickup. It was a basket case, and uh, but since it was a Ford, it was acceptable. And I put it together, got it all, customer end put in it. I think I put a little V8 in it because there ain't much room in those for a big motor. And this is before the LS has come out, you know. So I put a little V8 in it, and I think it was a 327 is what I put in. High Pro 327 because it had the stock 4-barrel, and it was a. I put I think the Muncie 4-speed in it because it was because there were all those old regular clutches, and um, fixed that all up, got it all up and running, and it was a nice little truck, truck, vehicle. And I'll be darned if I didn't drive that damn thing to work one day, and when I got off work, it wouldn't start. I could not get that thing to start to save my life. So I grabbed one of the other rigs that I had there at the shop and drove it home. And figured, well, tomorrow's my day off. I'll go, see what's wrong with the damn truck. I get down there, the truck's not there. During the night, somebody stole the damn thing. Never did find it. Couldn't believe it. You know, literally came into the parking lot and stole that truck. It was amazing. I was dumbfounded. And of course, I told the sheriff about it and keep an eye on it. I mean, it was in good shape. I mean, what everybody would call patina now, but at the time I was gonna get it painted because I didn't like it. I don't like that patina look personally, but each their own. And anyway, so um, then let's see which one. Oh, I had a '66 El Camino, uh, little V8 in it, um, automatic, real pretty. I traded. I can't remember what I traded for it, but I traded something for it. Oh, I remember now. I traded I had a 70 El Camino, and it had the big block in it and automatic, but somebody had shaved the door handles off of it and pushed the electric push button in the back. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but when your battery goes dead, you can't get in your car. You can't get in the car to pop the hood, you know. So it's it was aggravating. I didn't like it. Anyways, and this guy, he wanted to trade me for that little El Camino. It was a kind of a silverish blue color. Um, so we're going to the movies, and I had my friend High Pockets and his girlfriend and me all in the front seat of that El Camino, and we're tooling down the road, BSing, kid stuff. I come around the corner and here's this log truck in the road, and I look around and there's plenty of room to pass. So I get on it, and I'm used to driving something with power, and this El Camino didn't have any power. So I got it floored. We're moving on past the truck, and all of a sudden, here comes this car around the corner. I ain't got time to make it around the truck to get, there. And so I slid in between the dualies of the trailer up underneath the trailer. And I let the car go by, and I start to cut out, and I was just going to turn and gas it and get out from underneath there and pass the truck. And High Pocket yells at me and he goes, "Don't do that." And that moment of hesitation, ooh, the dualies on the trailer caught the rear end of the El Camino. The wheels were already turned to go out from underneath it. So it just spun me splat right into the bank. 60 miles an hour to a rock wall. His High Pocket's girlfriend had braced her arm out like that against the dash because and she broke her arm. High Pocket ended up with a broken leg, and I had the wind knocked out of me from the steering wheel. Just gasping for breath. If you've ever had that happen, and I had that bruise on my chest from the steering wheel. And the funny thing about that was we had the drive-in theater was about 28 miles east. The walk-in theater was about 19, 20 miles west. And we are going to see the one to the west. They were playing it was in the theaters, the movie Let's Scare Jessica to Death. And anyways, we never got to see the movie. And another one chalked up. But this time here, the only good part about it was the back. And the tailgate got hit by those dualies, so it screwed all that up. And the front end was just mashed. How none of us got killed in that wreck, I don't know. When I look after the ambulance came and they took us to the hospital, they had me on oxygen because I was trying to get my breath back. It hit me so hard, I blacked out. The next day, Grandpa had already gone and got the rig and towed it back home. And when I saw that rig, I could not believe we walked away from it. I mean, that whole front end of that thing, front tires and all, I mean, it was like, for lack of a better word, it was perfect. I mean, it hit that thing so flat. Maybe that's why we didn't die, because we hit that thing so flat, it just mashed everything straight back. And the cab of the El Camino was sitting on top of the motor. That's how bad that one was. And then I didn't wreck it, but we're coming back from me and Johnny G and Blank Frank. We're coming back from something. We were up in the town to the west, and for some reason, anyways, we come back down this road, and here's this pinto. You could tell it had been rolled, and the two front tires were flat, and roof was caved in and whatnot, and it sat on the side of the road. And so we're looking at it, and Johnny G, he reaches in and he hits the key, and the thing fired right up. So we're sitting there thinking, well, what are we going to do with it? There wasn't a lot of demand for those pintos back then, and so especially a wrecked one. And old Johnny G goes over and gets a big old rock, dropped it down on the set the emergency brake, dropped it in gear, set that big old rock on the gas pedal, revved a 6-8 grand, popped the emergency brake, sent that fucker sailing over a cliff. It probably, hindsight, it was pretty stupid, but at that time it was entertainment. Um, and because we had to go back and get it later. That's why it was stupid, but it was entertainment. That thing must have went 400 yards, probably 40, 50 in the air. Um, it was hilarious as hell. But we didn't know it was the local Avon lady's car, and because we didn't pillage it, we weren't like that. Anyways, it tumbled down. It flew over, crashed, tumbled, rolled all the way down to the bottom of the creek. And when the Avon lady contacted Grandpa, about her car stolen, is what she said, and so she gave a description of the car, said she just wrecked it, and she had to leave it to go get a rig to get her Avon stuff out of it. Um, and well, I knew where it was, and I told Grandpa, "Yeah, look, that's sort of what happened, man." And so I got lectured, about that. But anyways, we went down, and for my punishment, it was crawl down the cliff and hook onto it, and we towed that up to the landing, and not a single Avon bottle had broke in that accident or where we sent it off the cliff. Not one bottle. She was able to get, and that's all she cared about was just her Avon stuff. So she was able to get all that back, and grateful, because that's how she made her living. And so then we come to, what do we come to? I already told you about the Camaro. Oh, the VW bugs. Um, I wasn't really a big VW fan, but somehow or another, I ended up with a VW bus. And, at the time, they were popular. There was and the only reason why I fixed it up is so I could sell it. And, because, at the time, that's what the hippies wanted, was those VW buses. So, um, I'm coming back from the dairy, and I come around the corner, and here's this big old rock in the road. Old buses, they don't go very fast, So I hit the brakes, but they don't stop very good either. Anyways, I hit that rock and high centered the bus. I mean, you could front end down, rear end down. That's how it was, a pretty big rock. And so we get it jacked up in the air, take the rock out from underneath it, and it had screwed up the front steering arms and stuff like that in it, which was no big deal in those because they're easy to replace. So I replaced them and dumped the van. Traded it to a hippie, I think it was, and I traded it for another old. I think it was a Model T, Model A, but it was in a field and it was all apart. I mean, their grandfather, who owned it, um, was going to restore it, rebuild it, and he took it apart, and then he passed away. And so here's all these parts, kind of all over this field, where it's by his shop. So I went down there with a trailer and found the frame, found the cab, found the fenders, found the hood, found the grill, the radiator, found the bed, fenders, found everything to put the truck back together except for the bolts. And so I bring this thing home and I got it semi put together on the trailer. And um, this guy's driving down the road. The trailer's out in front of the house because I didn't want to. I was taking it to the barn, but I didn't want to back it out of there and then jockey it to get it onto the road to go to the barn. And while I was sitting out there alongside the road, this guy stopped by and he had to have it. So, okay, what do you want? What do you got? What do you want? What do you want to pay for it? Type thing. I didn't have no clue what it was worth. It was worth a lot to me because it was an old truck and I could do whatever I want to it. Anyways, I think he had a 64, 65 Corvette Stingray. It wasn't nothing fancy, just a two-seater. You take the fiberglass top off. You know, it, nowadays it'd probably be worth something, but back then it was just a car, and so he offered me that and like $500, and so yeah, okay, I'll do it. I figured I'd get some money out of the uh, Stingray there, and um, so the first day I get it, I take it to work because I want to put it on the lift and see if there's any major problems with it. And there was a few. The front end was kind of wore out, need new bushings, new tie rod ends, and but other than that, it was pretty well sound. Motor leaked oil. I think it was from the oil pan gasket and the timing cover gasket. So it was nothing that demanded immediate attention. So that night, I'm driving home from the gas station, and out jumped this deer. And those things are all fiberglass. I hit that deer with that, and that front end just exploded. I mean, all that fiberglass, everything just scattered all over the road. And so I pull it off the road, go down, get the tow truck, go back, pick everything up, tow it up to the shop. And there it's at. I never did anything with it. I might have traded it further down the road line. I don't know. But then comes I was coming home from school, and this guy had a 67 two-door Chevelle, and he had uh, maybe it was a Malibu. Might have been a Malibu. Probably was a Malibu. Anyways, um, he's alongside the road, hood up, and mad as hell at the car. Uh, just had somebody, he was from Southern California, just had somebody rebuild the motor for him and said he blew it up. Couldn't figure it out. Why did it blow up? And so I stopped to help him. And he told me if I get him, give him a ride to Eureka, California, then I could have the car. So, but he didn't have a title on him. And so I told him, okay, yeah, I can do that. You have to give me a little bit of time, I says, because we got to go back. We got to get the car, tow it to the impound lot. And then you can write me out a bill of sales, and uh, deputy sheriff can, my grandpa, could notarize it saying that he was there, witnessed it. Just cover our butts, and the guy promised to send a title, which he did. And so now this was a really nice car too. And the thing had vapor locked on them. a lot of young people may or may not know what that means, but that means the gas turns to vapor in the line because it had the middle line running right up alongside the headers. So it pretty much boiled the gas. So I got a nice little Malibu out of it. And another car, deer ate, come around the corner too fast. Deer jumped out in front of me. I hit it, sailed me right off the road, crash right into the bank, the river bank. And there's some big boulders down there on that river there, and just tore that car to pieces. Then trying to get it off of there, we tore it up even more. But that's how I wrecked that one. And what else am I forgetting? Oh, then there's a few non-descriptive cars, like we had this old Dodge 66 somewhere's in there. This, it was just a car to drive. Mostly when those old junkers like that, when I drove them, it was in the wintertime when I didn't want to take anything out I valued. So I got the old Dodge, and I'm going to work and come around the corner and had to have hit ice, black ice or something. I don't know. Anyways, I shot off the road, went crashing down into the ravine, and another car bites the dust. And then my sister Janelle, I had a 69 or 70 Super B, which was a really nice car. I liked that car. It was 383 with the 4-speed, and that thing got up and went. That thing. And anyway, she went up to see her boyfriend. This is before her other boyfriend, and got into a fight with them. Come hauling ass down the road. There's a 1-lane bridge, and she's going way too fast. And a log truck's coming down the road, up the road, and so she took my Super B and smashed it into the guardrail at the end of the bridge. And those guardrails are, you know, they protect the like a 2 foot by 2 foot concrete, and just demolished that car, smashed the front end so bad. Up underneath, motor humped up and went through the floor and sent that motor back into the firewall. I think Janelle ended up with uh, a broken arm and a busted nose. Um, it was a big deal. Oh my God, she's gonna die, Grandma. And then I kept my old Buick. I love that GS. It was just that's all it said for lettering on it was GS. Had the 400 4-speed, semi-high geared car, and I come ripping around this corner and just got on it, and all of a sudden, boom! The hood flies up, ripped that hood right off the car, went flying back onto the road, bounced all over the place, skidded off into the ditch, and that made me mad. You know, because the car was all original, and I drove home, put it in the barn, and checked the wrecking yard. No hood. So I went to the nearest big town, um, and they had a wrecking yard there. You know, and but they had my hood, and it cost me $200 for that hood, for that car. The guy didn't want to part with it. He said it was rare car, and it was a 1 year off car. But his car had been rear-ended, and he wanted to buy mine. You know, I wasn't going to sell it, so he thought he was going to give me an astronomical price, and I'd tell him no. But he didn't know. I had money, and so when he said 200, I just put the bills right on the counter, loaded the hood in the back of the truck, went home, put it on the Buick, and I checked, and the hood latch had sheared. That hook that goes in to latch the hood had sheared clean off for some reason. After looking at it, I could see where it had been cracked for a while, and how that happened, I have no clue. But anyways, so then I had to get the hood painted to match the car, and um, then the Falcon. I had a square body Falcon. I think it was a 64, 65, and I'm tooling down the road in it, and I have high pockets with me, and this guy drunker than a skunk come around the corner, and I seen him, and I turned to get so it wouldn't be a head on, and he hit me, and it flipped me over up into the air, and neither one of us wore seatbelts. So it was not a requirement, and most cars didn't have them. Anyways, old high pockets, he got thrown out the passenger side window, and then when the car landed, somehow or another, he got stabbed with the antenna that was on the front fender of the car and ended up underneath the roof of the car while the car was upside down. And um, I couldn't find him anywhere. And so the highway patrol shows up, and about this time here, uh, the sheriff shows up, and about this time here, um, he comes too, and he starts yelling. He's underneath the car. Well, the ambulance was there, so we rig it up so we can pick the car up off of him, roll it off on its side, and here he is, coughing up blood, and he's got that antenna bent over on the backside and sticking straight through him. Couldn't believe it. I mean, I thought, what the, how? So off to the hospital he goes, and his mom was so mad at me. She'd never let him get in the car with me again. And it wasn't even my fault that it happened. Just couldn't believe it. And then I got an old 60 Mercury Comet. I think it was a Comet. Um, it was like the Falcons and stuff like that, So it had to have been a Comet. Anyways, I may be wrong about the year. Had a little 289 in it with a 4-speed. Peppy little car. It was only 2-barrel, but it had a 4-speed, so that made it cool. And that one, it got crashed. I don't think I did that one. I think that was, I think my girlfriend crashed that one. She come around the corner, rocking the road. She hits the rock, knocks the front end out, sends her over the bank. She didn't get hurt, but it crashed the car. And the damage was significant enough to where it wasn't worth the replay. You had to replace the frame. The oil pan was gone. I think the transmission case got busted. Well, turned another car into junk, and then I had one of those 3100 Chevys, the old 5 windows, 51, 52, somewhere in there. And I had put a small block in it, and 4-speed, of course. But I never changed the rear end, which is stupid. Anyways, I got on it, peeling out, stupid kid stuff, just leaving the gas station, burning rubber. The drive line broke, right, the yoke, right behind the transmission. And it pogoed that truck straight up in the air. Looked like it had a big old dick hanging down from it. Buried it right into the asphalt. And there it sat. It didn't fall over on its side. It sat right there. Just stood straight up in the air, ass end up in the air. And so we pulled it backwards, got it down on the road, and it had ripped the rear end out of it. Because it was, stock Chevy, rear end, for that year. So it turned it, pretty much into junk. The body was good, which I ended up trading to Johnny G. I think I got a ski boat for it. And it was, I had this ski boat sitting out in that, because there were lakes, but there were, if you drove to them, you're going to spend a couple days there, because, you can't, it took you all day to get there. It took you all day to get home. So the only way is, so I put it up for sale out front. And this guy gave me this old delivery van, a Ford Econoline delivery van for it. It was cool. It was hippied out, shag carpeting, the little weird windows that they put in those things, round windows. And had a bed in the back of it, and little straight 6 motor, 3-speed on the column. It was a cool little van. And that one, the Sierra Pacific truck took out. Where we lived, there's a big cutoff across the road from us, because if you're coming from that way, you have to take that cutoff to switch to go into our driveway. And anyways, the van was over there, and I got out, left the van there because I was going someplace else, and I just needed to grab something from the house. And here's a Sierra Pacific chip truck boogieing on down the road, front tire blew on it, sent it off the road into that cutout, right into my van. I mean, he hit that thing and has flipped it probably 3 or 4 times. Yeah. It looked like an Airstream trailer after it was done. Couldn't believe it. But I think that's about it. That's all I can remember for now. I'm sure there's a lot more. I know there is a lot more. But that's all for now. I ain't gonna, I know it's been a lot of years, and I've had a lot of time to think about it, but I'm still not ready to talk about my Galaxy. That was so stupid how that got taken out. But anyways, that's all I have for you for now. Thanks for listening. God bless, and have a good day.